Hoenn, the region of trumpets, and according to IGN, the region with too much water. When I first got my copy of Ruby back in 2003, it was almost life-changing to me. This was the first time Pokemon was on a new system for me, being the Game Boy Advance, and the graphics just blew me away. With Gen 3 came an addition of 135 new Pokemon, and with that, a lot of really cool shinies. In today's video, I'm going to go over my top 10 shiny Pokemon of Generation 3. As always, keep in mind this is my opinion and you may not agree with my list. This is the third video in the series where I'll be doing each generation of Pokemon. If you haven't already, check out my other videos where I go over my top 10 shinies of Generation 1 and 2. Also feel free to like and subscribe, any support is very much appreciated. With that all out of the way, let's get started. To me, when I think of Shuppet, I start to realize that Shuppet just isn't that interesting of a Pokemon to me. Maybe it's the design, or maybe my ghost expectations are just a little too high. However, Shiny Shuppet is another story. If you watch my other videos, you'll know by now that blue shinies are my bread and butter. Shuppet is such a good looking shiny, and that blue really emphasizes that tropical theme that Hoenn is going for, along with making Shuppet look a little more spooky. Barboach. The pre-evolution of Whiscash, the almost overlooked water type in Generation 3. Generation 3 introduced a lot, and I mean a lot, of water type Pokemon, especially fish Pokemon. When you see Barboach, you think he's just an ordinary fish, but when you see Barboach is shiny, whew, it's amazing. I always complained that Whiscash didn't retain the same colors as Barboach is shiny. Barboach has a slick gray with gold fins, and it's a case of the shiny just being so much better looking than the original that you kind of wonder why Game Freak didn't originally design it that way. There isn't too much to say about Barboach, I just really love the shiny variant. Latias is one of my favorite legendary Pokemon. As a kid, I always thought Latios and Latias were baby Lugias, and I know I'm not the only one, so don't judge. Shiny Latias just does something for me. I don't know if it's the gold sheen or even it's just its design, but I 100% think the shiny looks better than the original. When I found Latios in my playthrough of Ruby, I was pretty disappointed. Although Latios is blue, something about Latias just hits me different. It wasn't until I traded my friend for his Latias that I realized which roaming legendary was better. Latias will always hold a special place in my heart, and that's why it's my number 8. I'll be the first to say it, Flygon deserved a Mega Evolution. With that out of the way, Shiny Flygon is just a great shiny. Replacing some of its green with blue was genius by Game Freak. It makes Flygon look almost like a dragon. I actually never had Flygon any of my teams back in my Pokemon Ruby days since, Salamence existed and basically overshadowed anything Flygon or basically any Pokemon tried to accomplish. Flygon though has a way better shine than Salamence, and that's why it's my number 7. Out of all the second stage evolutions for Sarge in Generation 3, Grovyle was always my favorite. Compared to Marshtomp and Combuskin, it's by far the coolest design. Grovyle reminds me of a Velociraptor, and it really gives me that prehistoric vibe. Growing up as a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs, and I can admit I still am obsessed with dinosaurs. With its shiny, it just looks so cool. I know I say that a lot for shiny Pokemon, but Grovyle with that dark red reminds me of Poison Ivy from the old Batman movies. Shinies that make Pokemon look completely different are always the best, and that is exactly the case with Grovyle. I always prefer shinies that pop, and with Agron, that is exactly the case. Now before I get into why I think it's a great shiny, Agron is literally a dinosaur. I just want to make that clear. He looks like a dinosaur. He is a dinosaur. Simple as that. Essentially, its eyes gain the Sharingan, with that clean red they get, and the almost turquoise color its body gets looks fantastic. When I first encountered Aron, its first pre-evolution, I would have never expected to get Agron as its final evolution as a kid. In fact, that seemed to be kind of a trend in Generation 3. The first 2 Pokemon in the evolution line are kinda meh, not too exciting, and then the final evolution just blows people out of the water, and that is exactly what happened with Agron. Camerupt was always an interesting Pokemon to me. I only really remembered battling Camerupt back in the day when I would fight against Team Magma, but out of all the fire types in Gen 3, not including Groudon of course, because he is definitely the best one in that game, Camerupt was always a top pick for me in terms of design. Shiny Camerupt, however, with that dark gray makes it look like a piece of charcoal or ash or even a mountain. And that's exactly how I imagined the volcano-based Pokemon would look like. When doing research for this video, I tried to compare my list to some other YouTubers, and not too many people have Camerupt in their top 10 or even top 15. And I think that's kind of wrong. I think Camerupt just has a really strong shiny, as opposed to most shinies where Game Freak just kind of slaps a lime green tint on a Pokemon and says boom, it's a shiny. Can we get some S for Camerupt? And that's why I decided to put Camerupt on my list, because Camerupt doesn't get enough love and attention from the community, and that's why Camerupt is my number 4. A lot, and I mean a lot, can be said about Metagross. Metagross is easily one of the best Pokemon ever made. It has competitive utility, its design is intimidating and looks fantastic, and it has a great evolution line. Shiny Metagross used to be my number 1 shiny for Generation 3, but sadly in the remakes you get a shiny Beldum. So everyone kind of has it now, and that kind of makes it a little less special for me. In the newer games for Pokemon, shinies became widely available. There was NPCs that gave you free shinies, almost it seemed in every game, and there were way easier ways to acquire shinies. But with Metagross, even though he's still widely available, its slick steel design and that yellow cross thing on its face, plate, I'm not sure exactly what it is, makes Metagross look so much cooler than its original design. And Metagross is for sure an example of what a great shiny is. Now, a lot of you may not agree with this pick, but shiny Zangoose just speaks to me on a spiritual level. Zangoose already looks really dope in terms of design, not just color, but with that shiny, and of course the blue, makes it look so much better. I'll be honest, I don't really have too much to say about Zangoose. I never really had Zangoose on my team in any of my playthroughs, but I kinda knew Zangoose as the rival to Seviper. But I can't deny how well designed the Pokemon is, and shiny makes it look so much better. I remember as a kid finding a wild Zangoose and kind of freaking out about it, to be honest. It was one of the first Pokemon that just looked very scary to me as a kid. I was maybe 8-9 years old, so cut me some slack. But when I went through my playthrough of XD Darkness, and one of the first real challenging trainers that you encounter has a level, I believe 45 Zangoose, that's Shadow, and at that time you have level 10s and level 15s. So to see that a few years later after Ruby and Sapphire came out really imprinted Zangoose in my mind, and that's why Zangoose is my number 2 shiny of Generation 3. For a lot, and I mean a lot of people, hundreds, thousands, millions possibly, Melodic, however you say it, was a very elusive Pokemon. As a kid, my friend Matt and I would spend hours and hours at his house in his basement fishing, searching for Phoebus. Back when Ruby and Sapphire came out, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. We didn't have smartphones, we didn't have tablets. We had a desktop computer upstairs that his parents only let us use every so often to search very specific things that they monitored, and Pokemon was just not one of those things. But for those of you who know how hard Phoebus is to catch, especially if you don't know which tiles to fish on, you know the pain, the struggle, the hardships, the blood, sweat, and tears to get a Melodic. Matt and I had a competition to see who could get a Phoebus first. We had heard rumors from school that Phoebus turned into a really cool Pokemon, so we had to just have him. I remember when I finally found one, I yelled so loud I woke up his parents, and they were so mad at me. Melodic was always my favorite Gen 3 Pokemon, and its shine makes it just look so majestic. Melodic is one of those Pokemon where you have to max out the beauty of Phoebus to get it to evolve. For those of you who aren't too hip about Gen 3 and the Pokeblock situation, that is very difficult to do. In Gen 4, I typically ran Melodic on my competitive team, a nice toxic recover wall that infuriated my friends when I played them. Overall, Shine Melodic looks fantastic. It's a case where it just looks way better than the original, but don't get me wrong, original Melodic still looks really, really good, so if you don't get a Shine Melodic, don't feel too bad. I feel Shine Melodic is one of the toughest shines to get in Generation 3, but because of that rarity, because of the design, because of the color scheme and the memories, that is why Shine Melodic is my #1 pick for the best shiny of Generation 3. So that's my top 10 shinies of Generation 3. You may not agree with my picks, and I'd love to hear what some of your favorite Gen 3 shinies are in the comments below. Thank you all for watching.